Good morning, everyone, and as always, welcome you in Africa on the live safari. It's going to be a beautiful day. We've got some lovely mist towards the east, where the sun is literally, as we speak, rising. In fact, let's have a look at that. We'll do more good mornings just now, but the sun is just peeking out above that cloud or mist bank. Got the full moon setting in the other direction towards the west. And it is a beautiful morning. We had lovely vocalization last night. Lions roaring around camp late night. I think the guys have picked up those tracks already. I heard Stefan and Scott earlier. Hayden's looking around. We've got some other activity in the area as well. I'm hoping for leopard again today because Kunyuma, after we looked for him last night, on the way back, we heard some kudu bark calls, and I think he might be around Trias Dam. But that's what's going to come. That's in the future. And in the past, what is most important is where we are right now. We're sitting in Africa. We're live. It's a beautiful, lovely morning. The sun is busy rising, and all the possibilities, all the potential surprises and things that we could enjoy and might surprise us and might scare us or might make us laugh, all those things are laying ahead of us. So looking forward to this morning. Looking forward to what we might find. Looking forward to what we might talk about as well. It's always nice to have company on Game Drive. So thank you very much for joining us here at Djuma Game Reserve. On camera is Andrew, Tara and Nikki in control room, and from my side, just a big good morning again. My name is Peter Pretorius, and I look forward to spending the day or the morning with you. We've got 3 hours ahead of us. Guys, this is an interactive game drive as well, so if you want to ask something, if you want to say something, please do so. Hashtag SafariLive for a tweet. And yeah, that's about it. Looking forward to it. And we're going to join HT just now. He might have something for you to look at. I might actually just sit here for another minute or two and just enjoy this lovely view. And then we're going to see what we can find. Let's go look around. Oh, that is beautiful. Great to think that there's a 24-hour sunrise around the world. Everywhere at any moment, any time of the day, there's a moment like this. And I think many of those moments are shared by people, maybe 1 or 2 or maybe millions of them, looking at it and thinking, wow, that's beautiful. What's today going to bring in our lives? Certainly one of my favorite places in the world to see a sunrise or a sunset for that matter is Africa. Get that lovely red sky this morning sort of enhanced by the mist, many afternoons enhanced by the dust, always enhanced by the great feeling that goes with it. But from this sunrise, I think let's go see what HT has got, and we'll see you back on this vehicle again in a bit.
Okay, well, good morning everyone, and welcome to Wild Safari Live. It's great to have you aboard. My name's Hayden and I'm with VM this morning. Nikki and Tara in final control. Fantastic morning, beautiful again, really misty, 16 degrees Celsius, 61 Fahrenheit. And what have we got this morning? More ellies. There's a couple of beautiful ellies just over here. There's a young fella, and I think I can't quite see behind the bush, but it looks like another male that might be trailing the herd at the moment. They're a little bit in this thick vegetation, but we just came past here and saw them. There's another lot of mothers and babies behind us in the vegetation. We'll try and catch them as we go down through. But just a little bit of a recap this morning also about what happened yesterday. We had an incredible elephant experience yesterday with those babies. Pete had the same herd the day before, which was fantastic, just amazing. I went to bed thinking about it last night. Also last night, as we were sitting around the fire, we heard these elephant potentially vocalising a lot down here. And we also heard lions roaring. And there was lions roaring quite close to us and lions roaring far, far off. So we're going to try and find them this morning. Scott and Steph are out for us as well. But I just want to also thank, I'm just watching this young bull. Sorry to ask you to do that, VM, but these are the two boys that were a little bit cheeky the other day to us. So I'm just going to, is that right, my boy? There's no problem. We're just here to have a little chat. Okay. It's okay, fella. It's all right. No problem. So he's just a young fella that's showing a little bit of, you know, what he's built for. He's just showing a little bit of his strength and so on. And he's going right behind us now. So they are two young bulls. I'll just swing around for you so you can see. Just got to keep my eye on the other one. It's all right, buddy. Just try and give them a reasonable shot here. That's a beautiful display there, folks, that you can see, though, just with that lovely head. Beautiful young male down trailing the herd at the moment, and there's another one about to cross, but I'll give you the cue when he's about to cross for him. The young males like that, they're not as confident. They're a little bit more sort of bolshy and throw their weight around a little bit, just to give you a little bit of display of their strength. And there was nothing in that display whatsoever. He was just telling us that he's a big boy and keep your distance. So they might be trailing the herd at the moment. One of the females might be in estrus, in season. But we'll follow them up and have a little bit of a look. But I just want to also thank you. There's been a couple of the Zoomies that told us that there was Ellie's by Viatella Dam last night about 10 o'clock, and lions, and a fantastic Facebook group that just a great bunch of people, the Juma Junkies they're called, and they were giving loads and loads of information to me last night about lions roaring and elephants found here and there. It's just great to have this social network and everyone interacting, which brings me to the point, that's what Safari Live is all about. It's about you talking to us through Twitter, through email, and you can tweet us at hashtag SafariLive, or you can send us questions at questions@wildearth.tv. Now, all through the day you can do that. Excuse me, my voice is just starting to come back, so we're getting back there. But it's all about that interaction, folks, and we really want to make this morning another great drive. So I think we might just go down and see where these elephants go. They've gone into a what we call a drainage line, which is a little sort of dry riverbed. They may follow that across. Let's just go and find out. So it's a funny thing when you're talking about elephants, with elephants around you, you can start to you just got to keep your eyes open. So sometimes, folks, I might just suddenly shoot forward or look away from camera. Please don't think I'm being rude, that's for sure. Just keeping us safe and the elephants safe. All drop down into this drainage line. There's a little embankment that goes down. So thank you, John, one of our wonderful Zoomies that works tirelessly to bring us information about what's seen around the waterholes. Thank you so much, John. Fantastic to have you on board, and thanks for all that info last night. Great stuff. So the lines, it's quite fun, you know. I have to tell you, when I get a text or a tweet to say there's lions roaring at Viatella Dam, and I'm sitting there listening to the lions roaring at near Viatella Dam, it's just great stuff. It really is. It just shows you that we're all working together. We're all one big family and all one big team on this, on Wild Safari Live, and it really does make you feel like you're sharing the information. And hopefully this morning we'll find something exciting that has whiskers. And what is that fascination? What is that fascination that we have with the big predators? I really don't know. It could be a great white shark, it could be a tiger, a lion, or a bear, but humans have this fascination with these apex predators. And I'm sure that's gone on for tens of thousands of years. And we still have it to this day as we drive around and search for them, to just be in their presence. So beautiful, beautiful misty morning. This mist is just starting to burn off, but you can see it through there a little bit, just on the tops of those jackalberries there. I want to take a left down here in a place called Central Road, and it's one of those roads that you never know what you can see. It's not. I bumped into leopard down there. I've also bumped into lion down there. It's not that frequent, but it is the direction that we heard those lion last night. So if we see any tracks going across the road, we'll definitely have a look. I just wanted to go a little bit further just to see. Thought I saw something run into this undergrowth here. Yeah, I think it was just a warthog. Well, not just a warthog, I think it was a warthog, but it just caught the corner of my eye. Whenever you see an animal like that running, you're not sure whether it's because of you or because it's being chased by a predator. So I'm just dropping down into this drainage line now. Notoriously bad little area for signal for me, so just stop talking for a second. Okay, we should be okay here, I think. Just listening to the Game Drive channel as well, folks. We have a lot of information going into our ear, and whenever I do turn away from camera and adjust, I've got a little adjustment here. It's a volume adjustment that I can adjust so I can talk to you, listen to the Game Drive, listen to everything going on. Just hearing something going on the cheetah cut line, so we might head that direction. Can't quite make out what it is. Sometimes we get the radio comms get a little bit tricky. Look at that through there. Wow, that's beautiful. Just want to show you that beautiful mist. Stunning. really beautiful. Excuse me while I just call on the Game Drive channel, folks. Scott, copy. Okay, Scotty, thank you. Copy that. Sorry, folks. I was just listening to the Game Drive channel. Scotty and Steph are out. Another sets of eyes for us. Another 2 sets of fantastic eyes for us. Just going to head up this central road to Cheetah Cut Line. There seems to be something happening up there. Not really sure what. The signal breaks up a little bit sometimes. Whenever we look outside the vehicle door like that, it'll be just to check out some tracks on the road. I'm just going to head up to see what Scott was talking about. Couldn't quite make out do our best to get there. Wildebeest in front of us running. Copy that, Scotty, thank you. So sometimes you'll get these wildebeest bulls that eventually will set up a territory and wait for passing cows to come through and then build a herd around that. But at the moment, Mr. Wildebeest, I need to get past you and I want to be very respectful of you. So it's completely okay if you stood to the side, my friend. It's like sometimes you drive along the road and you get a little pair of francolin and they'll just run all the way in front of you, or at night a rabbit. But you just respect them and wait for them to get off. So folks, I was just wondering, I think it might be a good time to cross over and see what Pete's up to. And we have got a little ways to go up to that Cheetah Cut Line, and we'll come back to you just now. But in the meantime, let's see what Pete's doing. See you now.
Well, guys, we've got a good morning ahead of us by the sound and the look of things. We're sitting here with a little breeding herd of elephants. This youngster was just playing with us, coming to have a look and doing a little bit of a head shake. Lovely, relaxed, sort of peaceful feeling with this herd. Not sure which herd it is yet. Looks like about 7 or 8 elephants that I can see so far, but it's quite thick towards our left, so we'll still see what comes out of there. awesome light as well, just coming through now. As we saw at the start of drive, we've got this beautiful misty morning. Probably burn off quite soon. Yesterday was also a nice and cool morning, and then once the sun's up, it gets warm quickly. And you can see the light just coming through now, just hitting this young elephant. Very beautiful. Got a big female here to our left as well. I'm going to see what we should do in terms of where we should sit. Let me go back a little bit. She might be making her way through. Looks like quite a big female. Make a bit of space for her. She is sure to be catching up to those guys, and good for us to get a good look at her as well. Just from her size, I would easily venture a guess that this could be the matriarch. And then I'd love to find that herd again that we've seen a couple of times the last few days, with that young, what shall we call him? Very curious elephant, young Newton or young Da Vinci, that elephant that came and had a look at Hayden's vehicle yesterday and played so nicely with us the day before. Let's go a little bit around still. It's going to find us a good spot. We've got a bit of a clearing on the right-hand side, so I think this female will catch up to those youngsters. Let's see if we can put ourselves in that area there, up towards that termite mound. This is exactly the same place. In fact, these old car tracks I'm driving in on, can't see it, but this is the way we used to get into that buffalo carcass end of November, beginning December. And we had that amazing live buffalo kill just down the road. This guy, that guy. Let's have a look. Move around a little bit just to get an idea of who's here and what's here in terms of the ellies. There's a couple of elephant up ahead as well. There we go, there's another two. Let's go sit with these two, with mother and youngster together. Beautiful light again through the trees there. Absolutely have to love these mornings. Not cold, just cool, fresh. You do get that sort of sense that you get with the morning like this. You tend to feel it in some of the animals as well. If you find a leopard now walking along the road, there's a certain sense of peace to it. Now, if you were so lucky as to sit somewhere looking at a group of lions, which we might be just now, so don't go anywhere, to sit with them, you do get a sense of the same feeling you're getting in the air and with the sunrise. You sometimes get that feeling from the animals as well, that they're just taking a few minutes to sort of ease into the day before the day sort of kicks off fully. Another thing that I love, I mean, there's about 1 million things that I could list. Maybe not 1 million, we don't really have enough time for that, but many hundreds of things I love about sitting with elephant. And one of the things is just sitting here now, even though we can only see these two, you just hear all these sounds. You hear the twigs breaking that side and leaves shaking the other way, and then the odd branch breaking. You just get the sense of life around you. Always enjoy that. Same with the buffalo herds when you're following a big herd of buffalo. Leaves shaking the other way, and then the odd branch breaking. You just get the sense of life around you.
I don't know what's going on. We still don't quite know what's going on.
Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this.
So we've got line now. Hunting something. There's a wildebeest approaching us. The wildebeest that was behind us. Oh, sorry, in front of us. And it doesn't know they're there. Absolutely spectacular. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Right in front of our very eyes, folks. They had a try. Oh, they're actually after hyena. They're going to come across this road, possibly. Look at this, look at this. Cheeky hyena sticking around there. They went for the wildebeest, and the hyena was still sitting there, and they missed the wildebeest and just decided we're going to give the hyena a run for their money.
Well, I'm glad you arrived when you did.
Incredible, guys.
Well, HD, we'll leave you to it. We've got to head back and...
Okay, well, I am indebted to you, gentlemen, and I'll repay you handsomely.
Enjoy, enjoy. Cheers, everyone. Have fun.
Everyone. Thanks, mate. Thanks, guys. We're going to just sit up with these guys.
HD.
Cheers, big
Cheers,
man.
man. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Steph. I love working with those guys. Absolutely superb. Lioness just going down through there in front of them. Sorry to look right in front of their vehicle now. You just see a lioness crossing the road in front of them. So she had a little, she's going to come back up to the pride here on the road, which we're going to go and sit with now. But they do have a lioness just there, see? So she's the lioness that just took after those wildebeest. Incredible stuff. Wow. That's not bad. Not a bad way to start the morning. And up in front of us here, we have the Nkahuma Pride. I'm just going to get up into a nice position and just let them settle and know that we're no threat. Hey, my boy. Just sit here for a second and let him get used to us. There's another couple of females coming through here and get in position. Folks, so just excuse me while I let Scotty know if he can just let the other radios know so I can concentrate on this. It does take a little bit of pressure off. Scott, do you copy? Scotty, would you be able to just let other radios know, mate? There's only, and I'm just the only one here. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. So what I was doing then, folks, was just letting other radios know, because people will be on game drive, and it's nice to share this beautiful sighting. So we've got a young male in front of us right now, and there's a youngster up ahead, and there's a few coming through. There's a beautiful light on this animal right here. Absolutely magnificent coming through. Check her out. Oh. So if you've just joined us, what happened was we came round the corner. We met Scott and Steph. These are the line that we heard last night, we're pretty sure. It's in the general direction that we heard them. And Scott and Steph came out to try and pick up spoor, which are tracks, Afrikaans word for tracks and signs. Spoor, spelled S-P-O-O-R. You may hear people refer to it as spoor rather than tracks. Sometimes there's another female coming through just here, also via a slow female just behind. She's just behind that vegetation at the moment. She's walking through here. And when Scotty and Steph got here, they said there was a big sort of skirmish. There was all this sort of markings on the road and the sand, and they didn't really know what had happened. But there was leopard tracks, there was hyena tracks, and there was lion tracks. So there could have been a bit of a confrontation at some point last night. Excuse me. Beautiful up on the road there, Scott, VM as well. Just the cats walking along. You often find cats use roads, particularly the lion and leopard. They like to walk along the road. It's nice soft sand on their underfoot, and they'll use those roads to get from A to B. Just moving off now. The temperature this morning is definitely rising quite fast, so we're going to stick with these guys. I'm just going to see what's happening with this male. He is quite close to the road, so I don't want to frighten him, and I don't want to give him a scare. Let's just so the girls are going off to the bush, and I really do want to follow them. What are you doing, my boy? It's okay, buddy. It's okay, my boy. Okay, my boy. Oh, it's beautiful light on him there, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. We might just sit with him for a second. I think he's going to follow the girls up there. They wouldn't be far off the road, I don't think. Just beautiful to sit with him rather than being on the roll through the bush there. We'll just sit with this male. And he is, as I said, quite close to the road. I can him, but there's a real nice respect that we need to have, particularly with lion. Just a good distance, a really safe distance, but also a really respectful distance. We have had them walk right past the vehicle in touching distance. A few times in November, I had a couple from the Birmingham boys walk quite past me, quite close. But there was a trust thing there, or there was a respect thing there from both of us. He just didn't get too close, but we both allowed each other to pass. Just cleaning himself or licking his paw there a little bit, so who knows what, if he's got a little thorn in there or he might have injured it in a confrontation that he may have had this morning. I'm just taking my jacket off, folks, because it is warming up, and absolutely magic. It's just, I think we just stick with him because it does look so beautiful, and he's static, which is always a bonus. Now, folks, I'm just going to take a few photos if that's okay. You might hear a couple of clicks. You might hear a couple of clicks. Occur that are unsuccessful, but there's power in numbers, that's for sure. I can still see them through there. I'm just going to try and cut down into here, so I'm going to concentrate more on following them this morning, folks, rather than giving you loads of information. I just want to stick with them and see if we can stay with them. That's the most important thing. Find our way through this vegetation. There's always something that you have to keep your eye on. I don't want to cut the pride off either. Can't quite see where the male's gone at the moment. It's a bit of negotiation here, folks, so apologies. Got that, mate? So we are off-road. If you've just joined us, we've just turned off the road and we're just negotiating our way slowly through this vegetation. Now, please know that there's nothing in us. We're really very careful when we go through this vegetation. Many of the little trees that we either might move over the top of actually brush underneath the vehicle and then bounce back up. And it does sound a lot more hectic than it actually is, because the microphones do pick up a lot of noise. Just trailing up behind the last member, a juvenile lioness. Just watch this. Everything has thorns. Thanks, Ben. We're now on a game trail, which is probably a little bit easier. If they stay on this game trail, there might come someone else in on this. And it's a bit tricky sometimes, so we do try our best to bring everyone in. It's getting very thick down here. So thick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I can feel it dropping down into dropping down. If it drops down into this drainage line, we're going to have to go and renegotiate this. It's a bit... Okay, well, they've all just decided to sit down, which is pretty cool. In the shade, they've found some beautiful shade. So why don't we do that? Okay. Oh, that's a better. I thought we were about to lose them. They've found a lovely bit of shade here. And there is a little drainage line down there, so they might keep their ears open. There's a female standing up, and that female standing up has got her head down in that fantastic sort of hunting position, looking through the trees. She might be on standby as the individual that's just watching for any opportunity that presents itself while the others take a rest out of the heat. Now, it's not, excuse me, it's not hot in the sense of baking hot, but the temperature rises, and as most of us know that big cats, particularly all the predators, do not handle the heat very well. So, folks, what we might do is I think we might just sit with these guys and cross over to Peter and see what he's up to. They don't think they're going anywhere fast, and I might reposition the vehicle and just stay with them and monitor them and come back to you soon. We'll see you just now. We've got lines. Yeah.
Oh, guys. What a morning. Always great when you can see lions. We haven't seen them for a few days, so fantastic news there. A little bit of a sort of a medium effort hunt, it sounds like, so great to see as well. And it's still nice and cool, nice and early, so those lions might get up to anything still, and we'll jump back there soon as it happens. But in the meantime, we've been sitting with this beautiful herd of elephants. I've just repositioned a bit because they're behind some bushes here, but got a couple of youngsters here, 3 young ones that are together there that I'm hoping might come say hello to us just now. The first female has just crossed the road in front of us. And we're just going to give them a few minutes, and I think they're going to come right up and have a look at us as well. Very peaceful herd, great feeling here. I haven't actually counted them, but 3, 6, 7, 8, looks like about 9 or 10 of them at least. And with ellies especially, different than you would do with the predators, like with lions or with leopard, where you're more just following them and they're doing their thing. With elephants, how you move around them and what you do can play a big role in how they're going to come have a look at you. And let's see what happens next. Look at that. This is sort of cousins and quite often family of each other, cousins or even brothers and sisters from different generations. So they know each other well. This is a little band of friends. Not quite sure of himself. Awesome. Right next to us, there's not an adult elephant close by at the moment. The one female has moved on, the other adults are off to the right. So again, showing great comfort here, look at that. Playing with each other right next to us. Showing us that they are quite relaxed with our presence here. About a 6-7 month old, the youngster. A little bit older, the bigger one. Bigger one, I would say, is probably in the region of about 18 months. 18 months, 20 months maybe. This is sort of the next size up again. Both of these would be, I'd venture to say about maybe 3.5, something like that. Maybe about 2.5 or something like that for the left hand. The one on the left-hand side looks like a female on the right, young female, and young male on the left. Oh, here's this girl, beautiful female this. And Andrew actually noticed earlier that she is looking very heavy. You can still see early morning, the sun is still nice and low. We're looking almost due east, but very heavy female, this beautiful female. I mean, great condition. Now, she's in her prime. She would probably be in the sort of early 40s now, but also very possibly pregnant. You don't necessarily see it that easily with elephants. Oh, guys, look at this right on our side as well. It's difficult. We've got elephants all the way around us now. Another big female there. Got that sort of downward pointing left-hand tusk, and recognize her from that. Just great. Love Ellies like this. I'm just going to maneuver a little bit, reposition us. They're just busy feeding. I mean, quite often when you get to a road like this, put it this way, earlier when you were with the lions, we were sitting with them right in the bush and they sort of just feed around you. But when they cross the road, Ellies tend to sort of cross it. I know it sounds a bit silly explaining it like that, but you get the sense that they know there's a road coming up and they cross it and then they go on feeding again once they've done so. I guess because sometimes there could be 1 or 2 vehicles with them. If they've got babies, they know that it's a bit of a exposed is maybe not the right word, but something like that. And they sort of get the whole herd across and then they fan out again as they start feeding. So we're going to join them again on that feeding activity, see what they get up to, hopefully get a couple of those young ones playing again. At the same time, if you've maybe just joined us, welcome to a beautiful morning here in South Africa. Welcome to the SafariLive experience. And we've had a great morning. Started with beautiful misty sunrise, some cats, lions. As I said, if you've just joined us, stick around. We're going to go back to them as soon as there's something happening that side again. HT is sitting with them as we speak. Lovely elephant herd. And as always, a lovely guest in the vehicle. Nice to have you here. If you want to say good morning, ask a few things, just make a comment, welcome to do so by either tweeting hashtag SafariLive or email questions@wildearth.tv. I think I'm going to go a little bit ahead. It's always nice to find a spot and then wait for them to come towards us. Bit of a clearing around that termite mound in this area. There you go. Let's see if we can find ourselves a good spot to wait. Spend a little bit of early morning feeding time with this elephant herd. A bit of a clearing here. We've got, as I said, this beautiful big termite mound to our right, big trees on it. And surrounding it, there's a bit of an open area. spot. See which way they're going to go. Such stately animals as well, just the way they move. There is this regalness about them as well. Tend to associate that so often with lions, but elephants also just have a certain way of carrying themselves that's awesome to behold. That's that female that crossed last. If you look again, oh, sorry, Andrew. See the little left-hand tusk that's pointing down slightly? How we can recognize her. Pretty sure that's her calf just behind. Good morning. Having a look at us as well. You're seeing the back corner of the vehicle. Right next to us. Love that sound. That sound is up there for me with lions roaring, hippos calling around sunset, hyenas calling in the night, a deep rumble of the elephant sound. One of the sounds we can hear. They make a lot of different sounds of which we can only hear about a third, but that I don't think I've ever heard that sound and not enjoyed it. Guys, good morning. Look at this beautiful elephant. Daniel, Amy and Jason, great questions asking how long is an elephant's nose? What do they use it for and how long do they live for? We're going to talk about that just now. Also want to say a good morning to Herman. Good morning to your class of students. Herman, hoop het gaan goed. Lekker om op die kar te hê, Paul. Now, most of you probably didn't have a clue what I just said. That's in Afrikaans, which is my first language. Herman is also a very good friend of mine that came to work with us for a long time. We've shared some special moments with elephants, so just thought I'll say good morning to him in my home language. Guys, awesome questions. Daniel, how long is an elephant's nose? Depends on the size of the elephant, I guess. I've never actually thought of it exactly in measurements, but a big bull elephant can be about 3.5 meters tall at the shoulder. Guys, we're just going to get to a better viewpoint and I'm going to actually show you what I'm talking about. So, Daniel, I'm going to get into that just now. And let's get to the other questions. Jason, you were asking how old do elephants live to. In the wild, it depends a little bit on the conditions or the habitat. In other words, the food they have, the water they have. They could live to about 55 would be a good age, 60 maybe. There's a few factors that play a role, mainly, well, the big part of it is their teeth and their ability to eat food later on. Oh, look at that guy stretching his trunk up. Let me just get a good spot here. I know an elephant in captivity, the oldest one I'm aware of. Maybe if one or two of you want to give me some feedback, see if you can find out sort of a fact about this. But the oldest elephant I read about was 89 years old. Good morning. That's in captivity when you can help them with softer foods when their teeth get old. The trunk is an extremely versatile tool. It's obviously a nose that they can smell with, and they can smell better than we can even imagine. But it's also the equivalent of a hand and an arm, and they're incredibly dexterous with it. African elephant have got two little fingertips at the front of it, that prehensile nose, if you want to, right at the end, whereas the Indian elephant or the Asian elephant has got sort of a one-fingered lip. It's not a lip, but you know what I mean, at the tip of the trunk. In terms of the length of it, Daniel, if I get a good view where I can actually sort of illustrate it, I'll try and point it out. But I mean, this is quite a small elephant. This guy is guessing about 18 months old or so. So, not sure how old you guys are, but if you were to stand next to that elephant, I would say at the shoulder, I'm estimating that elephant to be about 5'6", 5'8". Now the trunk is also, as I said, it's not only very dexterous in the sense of being able to take things. In other words, the trunk can move, they can turn it in all kinds of directions, and then they've got these fingers at the tip, so they can really go and just take a little edge or pick up a small thing. I've seen them pick up tiny little berries, fruits that they're picking up. But the trunk can also expand and contract, so they can make it long if they want to reach something, if they want to get your water deep down into a hole. So at full extension, I would say a 3.5 meter elephant, if I had to guess it, can probably have about a 2.2 meter trunk. But they're sort of spread out around us at the moment, and I just want to try and find a good spot that we can sit in the open again, get a nice view of them. You guys, when we've done answering the questions a little bit later, you must ask Herman to tell you one or two stories about elephants. Ask him about his first walk with elephants. It's a good story to tell to the class. Oh, the dust coming off. Oh, that's stunning. Gonna go a bit forward. He's just asking us what we're doing. That little head shake is sort of a saying, you know, what are you doing? Why are you moving behind me here? And guys, do keep in mind, we've been sitting with this elephant herd the majority of the morning, so we've spent probably a good hour or more with them. So they are very used to us by now. They're very aware that we're here. They're not bothered by us. You can see the fact that the whole herd is spread out. There's a young one, there's a young one. Guys, so quickly look at the height there. Foot to shoulder, so that height. This female, I'm estimating about 2.5, 2.8 meters. So that would make that length, even at not stretch, probably close to 1.8 meters. And if she was to extend it, probably a bit more. So I would actually amend my earlier guess. I would say with the big bull elephant, you could probably get closer to a 3 meter trunk if he extends the trunk, if he tries and stretch it out as long as he can. Beautiful autumn colors as well. You can see almost on a daily basis now with the cooler evenings, you can start seeing the color on the leaves. Just look at this little leaf. Look at the beautiful color in that. And this is a great place to see it because you've got backlight coming through the leaf against the dark background of the elephant's skin. Let's look at that leaf. This is autumn. We're going into our winter now. More and more we're going to start seeing the colors around us change, the bush change from green to brown. Animals' behavior will change a little bit. Predators will be a little bit more in competition with each other just because they're going to be hunting more around the waterholes. Elephants and buffalo, we saw yesterday a little bit of interaction there as well. So the changing of the seasons brings its own set of information for us, the same as the daily activity of wildlife and tracks and sounds, all these things that you use to build sort of the puzzle of what you can find and what you can experience in the bush. And the seasons, like anywhere in the world, plays a big role. Many of you on Drive with us this morning are in the northern hemisphere, so you're busy coming out of your winter, going into summer, spring essentially. We're in the southern hemisphere on our way into winter, in autumn at the moment. got a buffalo as well. Two of the big five here. We were just talking about species interaction. Something we'll see more and more of now going into winter. Just different species, how they coexist and interact with each other. Looks like a solitary bull, but I would guess one or two more around. Seat here. A great question there from Tina, but I just missed the gist of it, Tina. I'll get back to your question shortly. Sound is such an amazing thing, you know, the things we can learn from it or hear from it. Obviously, within our own species, we've got this incredibly evolved language, so many different languages around the world that we speak. You would have to wonder with elephants, do you maybe get different dialects as well? I know you get with lions. But Tina, that's exactly what you were just asking. You were talking about this rumbling that we just heard. That was almost like they planned it for us. Thanks, guys. That sound. But Tina was just wondering if you can compare it to like the purring of a cat, which shows that cats normally quite happy. This is more specifically communication, so they're not doing this just to show what's going on, sort of I'm happy, I'm not happy. They're actually talking to each other, and quite often when you hear that rumbling, you will hear 2 or 3 individuals answering each other as well. So it's definitely a communication. They're talking to each other. There's also sounds that could accompany that soon after or before that we won't necessarily hear, Tina. That the frequency of that sound is too low. We only hear about a third of what elephants are saying. What's this guy digging out? Maybe looking for a root or something that he smelt there. You can see how he's using the trunk. Elephants got a lot of different sounds that they talk to each other with. And that was elephant to elephant talking, not elephant to us. Just thinking of it, I know that I used to do some work with John Grinnell, Dr. John Grinnell on lion vocalization. You actually get dialects. Lions in certain areas sound like lions in that area, different from lions in another area. And I'm sure it would be the same with elephants as well, maybe even more so. Hey, little dude, how are you? Now that's great. Just a few seconds ago, we were watching the bigger elephant, one of the sort of teenagers digging there in that little hole, and the baby was watching it. This youngster came up. Oh, there we go, a little greeting. Sorry guys, always difficult to know where to look because so much could happen at any stage with any of these elephants. But the young one was investigating what the other one was digging for, so just learning. And then this female here on the left-hand side was just giving us a bit of a head shake. Whoa, we've got another herd joining in. This is great. One herd joining this herd, so there should be a bit of greeting and meeting up together. Look at that, guys. This is a funny angle, but let me just move a bit. Sorry, old lady. This one on the right-hand side might give us a little head shake, just to ask us what we're up to. But this is awesome. One herd joining the other one. Look at that. And a tiny baby, tiny, tiny, tiny baby. Not days old, but certainly weeks old. Wow. Guys, let me just finish turning your hand. Just hold on a second. Let's just get us into proper position because this is fantastic. You can see those guys meeting up, the young ones especially. Now, you all know what it's like. Christmas time, family get together and you're seeing your cousins for the first time in a year and like, hey, how's it going? What have you been doing? What are you learning? You know, what are we going to play the next week? And this is exactly what's going on here. 2 herds have met up. Now they know each other well. It's not that they haven't seen each other in years, but you just get that greeting again. And obviously that young one, he's still a bit of a curiosity to the rest of them. So 2 herds that have just joined together here. Fantastic. I want to see where that small one has gone. It's sort of hidden amongst the legs of the other elephants there, but we're going to certainly get another look at it. Him or her, I'm not sure. Stunning. I think we've now got probably in excess of about 20 elephants here. And just to explain again what I said there with them meeting up again, you quite often get it with elephants that the core herd, the matriarch and her herd that's permanently together, might be anything from as few as 3 or 4 elephants up to 15, 20, 30 elephants, depending on the area you're in. So when you see these big herds, like mega herds, 50 or 100 or 200 or 300 elephants together, that would still be different groups with their own matriarch that are just meeting up together. And you would even find that a lot of those matriarchs will often know each other, well, not often, almost always know each other from before, but they could even know each other well, meaning they might have been in the same herd at one stage, the herd grew, one of the senior females left and sort of started a splinter herd, but together they would still, spend a lot of time together. I'm not sure if you could follow how I was trying to explain that. What I mean is you could have a big herd consisting out of different herds, but they still know each other. Could even be related to each other. This is a beautiful female, huh? She's considering giving us a little head shake just to see what we're about. Is that one of the left tusk? Lovely view of her eye as well. Elephants have got such beautiful eyes. Great depth in them, of understanding perhaps. I'm going to just follow them a little bit. Great question, Claire. Just asking us there quickly if we can explain again the difference in the skull shape between male and female elephants. It's not that easy to sex elephants. In other words, you look at them, a male and a female, especially when they're sort of in their, small, from baby to about 25 years. After 25 or after 20, it becomes much easier to see the males because they've got bigger skulls as well. So, Claire, firstly, with a mature elephant, a male would have a much bigger skull than a female. But I know what you're referring to in terms of the shape. If we look at the one on the left here, this female, not the youngster there we go. I'm putting her probably in the mid-20s. If you look at her forehead, if she gives us a chance, you see it's got quite a square sort of angle to it. If she turns a little bit, you'll see it nicely. At this age, mid-20s, if this was a bull, and there's not a lot of bulls of this group that I've seen, but if I see one, I'll point it out. The bull doesn't have that sort of square or square top of the head and flat forehead. The bulls have got a more sort of bulgy, rounded forehead. And then, as I said, once they get older, there's a bit of playing going on there. Let's get a bit closer to them. Once they get older, into their 20s and certainly in their 30s and 40s, not only are the males much larger than the females, but the head and the skull is much more sort of bulky and heavier with the males than with the females. All right, let's get closer to that little guy again. Into this little guy. This is a tiny one. I think we saw this one about 3 days back. Just get a little bit forward. That's weeks. Weeks old, already comfortable with the other young ones around. I mean, look at the one that is standing next to the one on the left of that is probably about 8 months old, and look at the size difference. Oh, you can see the pink behind the ears still. Tiny little dude. Look at that. Even the balance knee just falling in there, or the wrist really. I like antelope as well. These elephant calves are born what's called precocial, so they can soon after birth stand up and walk and follow the herd. But it does take a little while, a few weeks at least, to get good coordination. You can see that one is sort of wobbly a bit. Sorry, they're just, apart from being adorable, which is obviously the case, but they can just be hilarious as well. Elephants as a species, but certainly the little ones like that. They're moving away a little bit just around the road. We're going to stick with them. This is beautiful. We're going to spend some time. I want to show you that little one at least a few more times, see if we can get a bit of play as well. Quite often, small elephant like that, obviously, within the herd of the teenagers and the cousins and the brothers and the sisters, a new arrival like that is always very exciting. So there's bound to be some young elephant interaction. We're going to try and get some more of that. But in the meantime, we're going to pop over to Hayden to see what's going on in those lions. And give me a second, just wait a few seconds before we go. But we are going to just have a look and see what they're up to. I just want to see where these guys are going. Hello. Not quite sure whether she wants to play with us or not. Last look here before we go to H. Guys are moving into some thicker stuff here. There's the youngster. But I'm going to get a good position for us. In the meantime, see what those lions are up to. Say hello to Hayden for me, please. And I'll see you back here in a bit.
Well, folks, we're still with the Nkahuma Pride that we followed this morning off that Cheetah Cutline Road down now back into Juma. They've just settled down underneath a bit of vegetation here. What you're looking at the moment is one of the females that stayed awake or alert. All the rest are actually lying on their side, resting. But there's this one and another adult female. That is just keeping an eye open. They've got the wind. There's a very, very slight breeze blowing back into our face here, so they've got the wind in there to their advantage. Another female here, quite alert as well, another big adult female, and these two females I think are probably the most senior in the pride. And there's the rest of the pride. There's about 7 individuals here. Got a question from Angie in Ohio. And Angie, welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. Angie, you're asking if I can see all 8 members. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at this point. Excuse me. And I do not think I saw 8 this morning. So interesting, Angie. I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that for you and everybody else. It's interesting to sit here with this pride. I don't think I've spent a lot of time with this pride in the past. So any information, any great little bite-sized chunks of information you have, you can tweet us on #SafariLive or questions at WildEarth.tv. And just little bite-sized chunks would be really great for me to share with everyone from you. And great stuff to be able to do this and share this information through social media. So thank you if you can, and I look forward to hearing a bit of your knowledge, because I know that many of you have followed the Nkahuma Pride for some time. The Nkahuma Pride is a pride that we picked up this morning, but if you've just joined us, we're sitting with them in a location now, probably about a kilometre, maybe just under a kilometre, about 750 metres. So it's, for me, a place that if I was a lion, I'd like to lie. It's very cool where we are. They have picked a fantastic spot. We've got a bit of shade as well, and you can feel the temperature rising as we speak. We did follow them. We watched them on a small attempt at a hunt. There was a wildebeest, actually the wildebeest that was walking in front of us and peeled off the road just before we got to Scotty and Stefan. And a big thanks to Scotty and Stefan as well. They're just fantastic. These two guys, we heard those lines. They weren't here this morning, and all we had to say to Scotty and Steph was, we heard line in that direction this morning, and Scotty and Steph just drove off and said, we'll find out soon enough. And we knew that if there was anyone that was going to find them, it was those two. So big thanks to them. And they witnessed the attempted little hunt as well, which was great to sit with them and watch them have a try at that wildebeest, but unsuccessful. They look, the male, which VM is actually on right now, if you just pan across to his belly, VM, just gently, he doesn't look underfed, does he? So I'm not sure when they hunted last, but they always will see an opportunity. If an opportunity arises, they will take it. So it just depends on what comes through. So this pride is 7 strong that I can see at the moment. So welcome aboard, Dylan. Great to have you with us in Iowa, and a really nice question about what is the average size of a line pride. It varies quite a lot in different parts of Africa. Up in the east of Africa, where you've got massive amounts of, you just got a female coming through here behind this tree, mate. Here we go. She's repositioning. So Dylan, they do vary. Up in East Africa, where you have the massive herds of wildebeest occur, they can get up to numbers of, goodness, I think there was a composition of 15 prides I've read somewhere that were totaling over 150 animals in one area. But typical numbers are sort of about 13 lines, 14 lines. And down in the Sabi Sands, that's also true. You're looking at about sort of 7 to 9 to 13, 15 lines. And you know what the interesting thing about that too, Dylan, is that the pride size, particularly the females, will excuse me please, will end up working themselves out through the prey availability. So if there's too little prey, excess females will disperse, and if there's a lot of prey around and they don't recruit within the pride, they will take in nomadic females to the herd. The pride. So you'll get a variation that occurs due to food availability, and it's a seasonal sort of food availability, Dylan. So really great question, mate, and I hope that answered your question. What was the number of the average number of lines in a pride? And it's roughly in the Sabi Sands between 7 to 13 up to 15 lines. Thanks very much, Dylan, and great to have you on board. Just going to reposition here, folks, to give my co-pilot a little bit of some more shots to look at. The lines are complete. completely relaxed, as you saw then. They didn't even lift their heads. They may just lift their head when I reverse a little bit. So we just got a lovely question from Suzanne in the Netherlands. Welcome aboard, Suzanne. And let me just get a little bit better shots for my friend here. And Suzanne, your question is about lion's fur and what it feels like or what it looks like. I hope that's a good spot for you, VM. You might get through there. I'll roll forward a bit for you. Suzanne, this fur on the lion is quite coarse, but still obviously soft, as in fur in most predators. But no, it's not like a domestic cat, as you're asking. It's much, much coarser. When they're cubs, obviously, it's very, very soft. But with any of the predators, as time goes on, that fur has to act as a barrier to the environment in whatever way, shape or form, whether they're just walking through thick vegetation or whether they're hunting or whether they're fighting, and hence that amazing mane that does a lot of things for the males. It will be a buffer against fighting and sustaining those sort of really serious wounds that they can do in a fight. Also makes the male look incredibly impressive. So those manes actually vary in shape, size and colour all over Africa, from very, very dark black to very, very pale blonde and short. They really do vary considerably throughout the geographical locations that lions occur in Africa. Great question. Thank you very much, Suzanne. So we are with some flat cats at the moment. We've got 7 lions here with us, and they are all out for the count at the moment. So I think this is a really good opportunity now to cross over to Peter and see what he's up to. I don't think these guys are going anywhere fast, but I'm going to sit with them for a little while. They were being a little bit more alert, but now even the ones that were keeping watch are now gone down for a sleep. So let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to.
Well guys, welcome back this side. Great to have those lions. Look forward to seeing what they get up to today, later on as well, in this afternoon. We're back with this elephant herd. As always, lots going on. Difficult to decide what to look at. We've got 2 young ones playing with each other in the front there. We've got these 2 big females to our right-hand side. And as I said earlier, we are going to show you that little one again. I have seen him. We're just waiting to get a good spot that we can watch him. Oh, hello. Look at what she's doing. She's feeding close to us. She's a bit curious, so she's just feeding around the base, closer to the vehicle. Partly because she is feeding, but partly also because she wants to see us, get a better look at us. There's that little one going past. We are going to look at it again just now, but for now, this female is just beautiful. Mature female, she's in her prime, just looking at the tusks, the ears, the size of her. And then when you get this close to them, when you sit at this distance and you can hear them chewing and hear them breathing and almost feel them, you do get a sense of the intelligence, the curiosity that's there. You do get a definite sense of presence and interaction. She's looking at us as much as we're looking at her. She's had a look and listen. We were talking about listening to them earlier. They listen to us as well, the sounds we make, and the tone of voice plays a big role, I found, with elephants when they're around you. There's the little guy. We will try and get a better look, but there's that young baby, weeks old. I was estimating earlier, I would say probably 4 to 6 weeks. I think that's pretty close, maybe even less. maybe 2 to 4 weeks or 3 to 5 weeks. Maybe that's a better estimate range. That was a very lucky view for us as well, because they were coming through a little bit of a, not a clear, more open area. There they're going into thicker stuff again. Just going to move around slightly, get a better space. It seems I'd heard that we had meeting up earlier. It seems they're just not split, but they're moving slightly separate from each other again. I can see the other herd more over towards the west or our right-hand side. But we're going to stick with this little guy, just because he's so little. Not every day you get to see a baby that is that small, and within a herd that is this relaxed. You know, that's also a big part of the experience here. At all. Allowing us to have a look at them and having a look at us in turn. If you've just joined us for the drive, or maybe you've been away for a few minutes, just catching up again, those lions from earlier, we had great lions early morning, we still have them, but they are what is traditionally referred to as flat cat. That's when they just lying down, not doing much. They might still be active, it's not that hot yet, but probably they'll stick around there for the day. HD is still with him. If any activity happens, we'll go back. But we're just following along this beautiful breeding herd. We just had a great moment when they all came past us. So not all of them, but about 7 or 8 of them. And we could see that young baby, that little calf that we saw earlier. I'm just moving around the side at the moment. Try and get another place where we can sit and get a good view of them. But now they're grouping together a bit as well. It's almost as if they're picking up a bit of pace. Perhaps they want to head towards a waterhole. The matriarch would decide that. She's maybe decided it's time to get to where we can get a drink. Just hold on a second, let me just find our spot here. But I think just up ahead, just going to wait for somewhere where there's a little bit of an opening, like a bit of a clearing, and then we'll sit there and wait for them. Lovely herd, this. Our stations, Moontlium, Slumby and Blov, approaching Triple M, closer to Skovanin, north from Triple M Junction, just north of that Skovanin. That's all I'm doing there. I'm just going to do it again on another channel to let everyone know. All stations, Mshlambi and Blov, Moontlium, Mshlambi and Blov, heading towards Triple M, north of the first Skovanin, north of Triple M Junction, heading in a westerly direction. I'm just updating the game drive channels. Other vehicles like us that might be looking for a good sighting. This is brilliant, tiny little baby, so much to see. I'm just letting them know on the radio, the same as they do for us as well when we find leopard together and help each other find different things. Look at that. Termite mound, bit of a clearing. I'm hoping they're all going to just walk right past us here. Hoping, with a little bit of luck, that we'll get that small one also coming past us. And of course, these ones, these youngsters, they might do exactly what this one is doing. Yes, good morning. We see you. Now, let me just get my bearings. Yes, I think if I have it correct, the little guy is in that group. Basically, in that group, there's a couple of small ones. Just keep an eye on them when they come through. That little one should be there. Let's see, here they come. I'm just getting my jacket off. It's getting very warm very quickly now. Look at the Three Musketeers. Hey guys. Okay, I thought that tiny one was in this group, but it seems not. Maybe it's still coming. I've lost visual of it for the moment. Oh, there in the back. We are going to get the treat, I think. Although everyone that comes past like this is a treat. Here's that big female again. Sorry, I'm on the wrong side. Here we go. The little one. Look at that trunk. Daniel, you were asking earlier the length of an elephant's trunk. That one is about not much more than 1.5 feet, 2 foot long. Look how it's staying on the other side of the adult. Still a bit unbalanced. Oh, that's just stunning. That little guy will probably weigh, I'm trying to guess it now, I doubt even 100 kilograms yet. And I'm very tempted to make my estimate younger and younger. I'm more inclined to say sort of 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't think much more than a month. Just looking at the balance, it was still stepping in a little hole, then it almost sort of lost its footing. So still very new to the world, discovering other elephants, cousins and family members that come and greet you, and discovering that close-knit family unit. This little calf would have had interaction from all these elephants many times over the last many days. And then just discovering your environment. Sticks and branches and twigs and holes and water and mud, all these things to get used to. And then, of course, to come back to the trunk that we spoke of earlier, that little elephant is so small, it will still have to be learning how to use the trunk, how to coordinate the trunk better, how to move it better. The same as we have to learn. We have to learn how to use our hands, how to use our eyes, how to develop that coordination. The same for the elephant. There should be lovely. Oh, guys, look at this. Look at this. Tiny little guy. Look at the pink in the ears there, guys. That's how thin the ears are still. You can actually see, just there, I could see the sunlight coming through the ears. Look at that. Can you see right on the edges? That's how fresh this calf is, how new it is. Wow, this is awesome. Guys, that's looking straight back behind us. We don't normally try and get that angle, but this is just too good. He's like this big. Literally, he could stand on the dashboard here and be quite happy to stand there. He could sit next to me in the seat with us going for the drive. That's how small that little guy is. Oh. We've got another game drive vehicle. And everyone on the vehicle's got these big smiles on their faces. That's a good question, and a very caring question as well. Lucille, you're asking if something happened to the mother of that baby elephant. There's the tracker you could see there from one of the lodges. If something was to happen with that baby elephant's mother, would the herd take care of it? Lucille, and yes, would be the short answer of that. It would depend a little bit on conditions. This is the last. There's a few more coming up ahead as well. They're moving into a different area now that we can't keep following. But depending on the conditions, Lucille, if it was very tough conditions, really severe drought conditions, then that little one might have a very tough time. I know of cases where they essentially they can follow the herd, but the herd don't try and help them that much, purely because resources are scarce. So a female that is lactating would want to make sure that her calf makes it. But under many other circumstances, under normal circumstances, that calf would still have a chance of survival. Morning. Lekker. There's the game drive. Game drive going past. As I said, I was sitting here, they were sitting just behind us, and that baby elephant crossed right behind their vehicle. And I think about 2 of those guests were in severe danger because their faces were about to split in half with the size of the smile they were having. It's just one of those things, you know, you see people out here from all over the world, like you guys, all over North America, South America. We've had people from, we had someone the other day from Fiji on the drive. I remember someone had from, was it Afghanistan once, and Pakistan, all over the world. Korea earlier. I don't know if you guys are still on drive with us. And no matter where you're from, when you're sitting out here and you're seeing something as pure and as beautiful as a tiny little baby elephant being protected by those around it, you cannot help but be happy. You cannot help but have a big smile on your face. And I must just shake my head because I just confused myself. We can actually follow those elephants. I was in traditional mode from my guiding days here. This is being one of the big boundaries, if you want, between different areas. But luckily we can drive in our 2s as well. So we can stick with them a bit longer. Let's go have a look at what they get up to. That's literally the last Ellie just crossing into the bush again there. We're catching up with him after we've just had such a lovely experience with the little calf, the one that we've been following. And every time you can see him getting a bit more comfortable with us as well. And not so much him, he's still too small to really decide about that, but the adults supervising him, his mother, maybe his aunts, cousins, the guys that are looking after him, they're getting now comfortable with us as well, which is why the last view we had, he was actually in the open. Remember, if we saw him a little bit earlier next to that termite mound, he was hiding behind the adults. So we're going to stick with him a bit more. They're moving quite fast now, so the terrain is getting thick. If it gets a bit lush and we have to sort of bundu bash to keep up with him, I'm going to leave it. But let's just try one last look. You know, it's important that he gets positive experiences with vehicles, like with all the wildlife here, because of the relationship between humans and the environment here. The fact that we coexist peacefully, if you want. The fact that, oh, there's one chasing another one, a bit of interaction there between the adults. The fact that we're always, you know, aware of, or what's the right word, sensitive to the behavior of the animal. They learn that they can trust our behavior as well. Vice versa, we learn that we can trust them. And it's good to reinforce that with our behavior. So, long reason for why I might not follow them if it gets very thick. But at the moment, the only thing that's getting thick are the elephants around us. So let's go and sit in the middle of them. Unfortunately, where we are right now, my radio is breaking up a bit, so I'm not always hearing your question so clearly, Dylan, but I could hear the gist of it. It sounded like you're from Nepal, but I might be wrong. But Dylan, whoa, what's going on? There's a lot of upset behavior there from the Franklins. You could hear that sort of cackling in the background. Something really bothered those Franklins. Oh, Dylan, okay, it sounds like you're from Iowa. Sorry, I don't know how I heard Nepal through that, but two-way radios can be a funny thing sometimes. Dylan, you're just asking if matriarchal elephants sometimes would be challenged by other females. In other words, a senior female, would she go and stand up against the matriarch and challenge her? I'm sure that can happen, but it's not, as far as I know, not something that is common. You get bull elephant competing with each other, physically fighting sometimes, even severely fighting. But with matriarchs and elephants within the herd, I mean, this is quite a big female. She's definitely not the matriarch, but she's big enough that she could theoretically be looking after her own group. And normally, not always, but very often, when you've got a split of herds, so let's say the herd's getting too big, you're now getting to 30, 40 elephant, and depending on the habitat, maybe it's better to be smaller units. Quite often, that herd will split, and the female that becomes the new matriarch, the one that leads the herd, will very often be the female that was one of the eldest daughters of the matriarch, or one of the senior females or second in charge female of the herd. So you've got the matriarch, you've got second in charge, the herd gets too big, and second in charge, because she's been working with a matriarch, will split off and we'll get two different herds. Those herds very often will join again through the course of the day or through the course of the next weeks and months over time. As I said, they sort of move away a little bit and join together again into sort of larger herds. And that, as far as I know, from what I've seen over many years of looking at ellies and what I've read and spoken to people that also love elephant, they worked it out amongst themselves. They're bright animals. There's no point for the matriarchs to fight with each other because they've been living together day to day, week to week, moment to moment for many years prior to sort of rearrangements of the breeding herds, if that makes sense, doesn't it? And this is just so awesome. We are really just part of this herd now. And they spread out all around us. Look at that. Now I've just rolled up to 6 feet away from this female in front of us. And she just stood there and did her thing, moving along slowly now. In fact, I want to try and roll slightly forward again. It's actually nice. I normally prefer, if you have a bit of a gradient or a bit of a slope, it's lovely with elephant if you can just roll the car without the engine, because the engine provides a different type of noise than the movement of the car. Great when you stop as well. That rustling of the elephants moving along, the sound I described earlier. But also just bird calls, little songs and whistles. We all love the big animals, you know. I'll be the first to admit that. I love to sit with elephant herds. I love to sit with leopard. But just as they have their daily things to do, even the smallest things do as well. The little robin down in the riverbed that's singing his song to look for a mate, or the young birds that are growing up now after being hatched a few months ago in summertime. Everything has got its things to do for the day.
Yesterday on the close of the Sunrise Drive. So that whole sort of information stream carries on right to this morning when, you know, we sit around and have a coffee before we drive out. We talk to Scott and Steph and we say we heard them directly below the camp. Scotty and Steph go on. It's just this beautiful thing that unfolds over time. We've got lovely Ellies here. This is Ellie-tastic this morning. There's so many elephant on the reserve at the moment, folks. It's beautiful. Something very, very special about watching elephants drink. How's that for you, Liam?
Good.
So just a small herd. It could be just part of a herd, but this is sort of an average family size, actually. You know, 6 to 7 animals, and then they'll meet up with other herds that are potentially related to them. Then you've got kinship herds, which are herds that they might frequently bump into, and it just depends on so many things. I think there's been so much beautiful, wonderful science done on elephant movements by fantastic scientists all over Africa. But still, there's reasons behind things that we just do not know. And I like that. I like that there's still a mystery. Let's just watch this this female just to see what she's up to. She's come round just as I arrived. I'm not very familiar with this individual, so we'll just keep an eye on what she's up to. She might be just moving over into the shade. I think that's actually what she was up to. Yeah, she looks pretty fine, pretty relaxed. Gabby is in Johannesburg. Fantastic, Gabby, to have you on board with us. And Gabby is 7 years old, watching us this morning on Wild Safari Live. This is brilliant stuff, Gabby. Gabby, I'm just watching this elephant just off to my left here, and I'm just going to come back to your question, my friend, in a second. She's absolutely fine. You're okay, VM. You can stay on those guys, mate. I'll keep my eye on this female here. Gabby, how are you? Welcome aboard. What a beautiful morning in your country. You are so lucky to live in this country, my friend. It is one of the most fantastic countries in the world. Your question, I'm not sure if I actually know the exact answer for, so I think I'm going to have to get some people to go and research it for me, and we'll talk to all these other people that are on social media with us. Your question is, how thick is an elephant's skin when it's fully grown? I can't give you the exact amount, so that's a question I can't answer properly, Gabby, but I tell you what, how about we put it out to everybody to research for me now. I'm having a guess, it's around about sort of 3 to 4 centimetres, maybe 5 centimetres thick in most parts, and that would be my guess, Gabby. So let's see what people come back with. But wow, you've got me, mate, and I really, really appreciate it, because I'm going to learn something from you, Gabby, and your question that you've asked. I think that's brilliant. We're just watching these elephants move off from their drink now. And I have read it before, Gabby, in a book, but my memory escapes me right now. And let's see what people come back with. Gabby, what a lovely country you have here, my friend, and I'm so privileged to be here. Beautiful stuff. So we just come up to this water point. We're watching these elephants just finishing off their drink and moving away now, and Gabby has asked a great question. Gabby is 7 years old in Johannesburg, in the mother country of where we are, the capital. We're sitting here talking to Gabby, and I'm asking everyone on social media to help me find that exact number. I can't quite remember what it is. I have read it, of how thick an elephant's skin is when it's fully grown, and that would be great for us to find out, to share with Gabby. And Gabby, I was just saying how wonderful your country is, and we're sitting here right in the middle of Sabi Sands watching these beautiful elephants. So crack on, Gabby, and we're going to come back to you with the answer for that. Really great for you to be on board, and thank you for your question, my friend. You can see that individual up the top there, just had her trunk up in the air, just smelling, using that trunk. That trunk is one of the most incredible appendages that an animal could ever dream of having. It is used for drinking, as you just saw. It's used for browsing, which means basically feeding off the vegetation that's off the ground. Grazing as well, which they pull the grass out of the ground. It's used for digging, if they need to find water. in a dry riverbed. It's used to fight with. They use it as a weapon as well. They use it in communication. It's just used for so many things, and it's you can see right now she's just picked up some sort of branch over there. I can't quite make out what it is, but beautiful. Just want to have a little look at this hippo over here. I'm getting a glance out of the corner of my eye that she has a very young calf with her. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's something else, but I think it might be a calf under her chin. So much for giving the information, both similar answers on email and Twitter. And Gabby, if you're still watching, I really hope you are, because I was sort of around the mark. I said about sort of 4 to 5 centimetres. It's about 2.5 to 4 centimetres thick, varying on their body. I knew I'd read it somewhere, but sometimes those little tiny bits of information can slip out of your mind. But Gabby, about 2.5 to about 4 centimetres, so about a little bit bigger than a school margin on your book, maybe just a little bit bigger than that, 1.5 times a school margin in your book. And that will make a difference. On the back of the head, it'll be a little bit thinner than it is maybe around the abdomen or the belly. Here comes another Ellie back down. Thanks for your question, buddy. So nice. So nice to watch elephants drink. They get so excited when they come to the water point. They do that wonderful strut down to the water and then have their fill, and then move off into the cooler parts for the morning through that midday sun. So Elizabeth's on Twitter at the moment, and Elizabeth's wanting to know whether hippos give birth to their calves in the water. And they do. They give birth in the water and on land. It can vary. It's not always in the water. And it just depends on what the location is and how they feel about the territory that they're in. It really is. There's lots of different variables on that. But generally speaking, it is in the water. Really long gestation period as well, 8 months, and they will remove themselves from the area and find a nice isolated position to give birth to that calf, and then very, very protective over that calf, and they'll stay with that calf really in the early parts of the calf growing up. They'll stick with it and keep it away from the herd. That's really important. That sort of baby is, they're about 50 kilograms when they're born, so about half the size of a little bit less than half the size of a baby elephant. In pounds, what's that? 120 pounds or something like that. I'm having a bit of a guess at when they're born, and they will be kept away from the herd. And then they'll be brought in, and then sometimes there has to be a sort of a rotational thing, because the mothers do have to go out to graze. And when they do go out to graze, they will put those animals in a creche, and then one cow or a couple of cows will protect that herd. And then after about 5 months, they start to go out and graze with the mother at night, and then come back in to the safety of the water point. We've got a few other elephants just about to come down. They're moving through the bush now, ever so. They're just grazing their way through, or browsing their way through. You can just see them off above the dam wall there. We've got this lovely one in the foreground here, just having a drink. Those tusks on this one are quite splayed out there, as you can see. Unusual. So we've just been sitting here at Buffelshoek Dam, a great dam that if you do spend a little bit of time here and you come at the right time, which what is the right time? It's just serendipity really that brings you in here. And if you come here, you'll get elephants coming down, you've got hippo. There isn't a lot of bird life here at the moment, but we've definitely got the big mammals. And we've just been sitting here watching these beautiful elephant come down to drink. So nice to watch, folks. think, please excuse me if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Is it Machia in Washington? I apologise. I've got if I've pronounced that incorrectly. But your question is a great one about their trunk and how they drink. Do they breathe in the water, does some water go up their nose, and can they drown? Well, the first part of your question is the water does go up their trunk, and then they lift it. They suck it up through their trunk, and then they lift it, put their end of their trunk into their mouth and blow it back into their mouth, just underneath where their trunk is at the top of their head there. So it goes into their mouth and they swallow it like that. They don't drink it through their nose. And the second part of your question is, can they drown? Well, any mammal, any non-marine mammal can drown. If they were to go in the water and they got stuck or they were injured or something, there's a definite chance they could drown. They're a terrestrial mammal. They need to be on land. They do go into the water and they can swim brilliantly. They can also have their trunk just out of the water, breathing as they swim. So there's some fantastic things you can see with elephant in the water. But yes, they do need to breathe on land and they can drown, but I've never seen an elephant drown. They're quite confident in the water and they are great swimmers. Thank you very much for your question. Catherine, welcome aboard. Great to have you from Texas. Great part of the world, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. Catherine, you're asking whether how long do elephants need to, or how long can they go without water? And the answer to that is dependent on the particular geographical location of the elephants. Now, elephants in this part of Africa do have pretty good access to water points unless it's a drought situation, and in parts of if you go to the opposite side of where we are in Africa into Namibia, you'll find that elephants have adapted their behavior considerably. Elephants like to drink once, maybe twice a day, and sometimes more in the really, really hot parts of the year. And roll around. They love water. They really do. They bathe, they play, they really have a great time in water. But where water is not as abundant, they have to modify their behaviour. So there's elephants in Namibia, for example, that can walk great distances into the sort of scores of kilometres or miles, 50, 60, 70 kilometres and more to get water, and they might only drink once every 2 days, but it just depends on the geographical location, and if there's water around, they love it, and they certainly do love fresh water. So, and whenever you go to somewhere like Kruger Park and you've got some of the boreholes that have been put in by man to aid the wildlife there, they love to put their trunk in and get water that's being pumped up fresh from the borehole. So they do love it, and thank you very, very much for your question. How long can they go for? Really depends on where they are. They'll try and drink a few times a day if they can, but if it's in parts that are more arid and the water's not abundant, they can go for 2 and 3 days, but they'll start to have to really find water then before they start showing signs of deterioration and dehydration. Thank you so much for your question. Okay, well, we've only got elephant over there in the distance, so we might move around and see those guys a little bit now, and then we will go over and cross to see what Pete's up to, I think, because I'm sure we know what Pete's like. He's always up to something. We'll see you just now.
Hey, welcome back on this side. Not welcome back, I mean, you haven't gone anywhere. You've been enjoying those elephants with Hayden. at Buffelshoek Dam, another small breeding herd. It really is fantastic at the moment, just elephants everywhere. And speaking of things everywhere, we've just come up to, oh, nice bird life here, let's go have a look at them. Just coming up to twin dams, and nothing big around, but as is often the case, if you look around, you'll see very interesting small things. And these are stunning birds. We hear them often, we mention them often, you know, when we hear them in the bush. Quack. Quack. It's pretty close to what they sound like. I always still refer to them with the older name, a grey lory. The name was changed some years ago to go away bird. In Afrikaans, we have a very apt name for them. They're called a kweefvoël. So the Afrikaans name literally is the sound they make with bird. So the Afrikaans name translated would be kwee bird. These guys are having a nice morning. Next to the waterhole, lories love drinking water like many other birds, but you find them often around waterholes. And they're also doing a bit of grooming, and it looks like a youngster. The one on the left-hand side there of the two is a juvenile. If you look very carefully, the feathers on the back is still slightly sort of fluffy almost. And the crest is also not fully developed yet. And so this looks to me like, as I said, sort of not baby birds, but young birds. A few doves around. I can hear a robin, a white-browed scrub robin singing in the distance. Sesticula behind us. All those sort of quiet, peaceful noises, if you want, of the bush around us. What was that? Oh no. Just saw a bit of movement. The base of the tree there was just sort of in there, but for a split second I thought it might be a snake or something like that, but it was just another bird. A bulbul, quite a cool name as well. A bulbul, in Afrikaans we call them a tiptol. Get some really interesting sounding birds' names as well. I mean, many of them don't necessarily have a meaning as such, but the sounds of the names can be quite fun in itself. I think we're going to sort of wind our way slowly along Cheetah Cut Line through that area where you had the lions earlier. They are flat cats sleeping. It's getting nice and warm now as well. So I don't think those lions are going to be doing anything for the rest of the day other than lying around. But I do want to go out to Buffelshoek Dam. We were only a few minutes ago with HT, and we'll probably get up there in the next 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, depending on what we see. I haven't been to Buffelshoek Dam myself for a few days, and I love that waterhole. So we're going to aim for that sort of towards the end of drive, end off there, unless we bump something interesting en route. Hey. That was something. I think it's gone. We'll know shortly or soon enough if it isn't. If I start doing a very funny dance here, it's because whatever fell down my back is busy biting or something, but I think it's climbed out. Okay, let's make our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. And I think in the next couple of minutes we'll probably just be doing a bit of driving, which is a big part of game drives, going to different areas, looking around. So it's great to have some questions as well. You can email them in, very simple questions, at wildearth.tv or hashtag SafariLive to get it on the Twitter feed, which is Twitter. And you can tweet it, and we'll have a bit of a chat, answer a few questions, and just enjoy the safari experience. Often referred to the Big Five, and just wondering what that is. Now, many of you might be wondering the same thing. Many of you might know. Some of you might have an idea. Let's get a bit of feedback as well. I'm gonna pose a question back to you while we discuss this question, Jamie. Those of you, and let's try and make this. I'm going to try and make this into a trick question without confusing myself. But how many species potentially are part of the Big Five in Africa? Let's be specific to the continent. And this is a question I'm throwing back at those of you guys that are going on lots of game drives, because there is a little bit of a, what was that? Is it a twig or a little snake? Oh no. Let me show you what this is. We're driving on one of the bigger roads here. Guys, just a piece of rubber. Just thought I'd pull your leg there a little bit. Obviously came off from one of the game drive vehicles. I thought pick it up and throw it away at home. Alright, so Jamie, what are the big five? My question back at everyone, if you want to let us know, how many species of animals can potentially be part of the big five? And would that mean we have big five or perhaps big six? If you want to send those through, we'll talk about that later on. But Jamie, in short, the big five are the animals that were named the big five, not because necessarily being the biggest, but it's a term that originates from the hunting days, which the early exploration days, we talk about the 1900s, when people, the early explorers, the early naturalists, the early conservationists, guys, it's very important to realize, were the guys that were exploring those frontiers, the hunters of the 1800s and early 1900s. I grew up reading so many books about them. It's a very romantic era. Very romantic era for many of us, the same as the Old West in North America. The exploration days, the days of wild frontiers and wild spaces being much larger still than the sort of cultivated spaces. And those were the animals that were most dangerous to hunt. Which is why, for instance, a hippopotamus, even though it's a potentially very dangerous animal, is not part of the big five because they were simple enough to hunt. Same goes for giraffe, perhaps. So the big five are, let's just get to the direct answer for you, Jamie. The big five are, let's start from the biggest down to the smallest. Elephant, rhino, and there's the part of the trick question from earlier, we'll get to that. Buffalo, or the Cape buffalo specifically, we're talking about the African big five. The other one we saw earlier, lion, and the smallest of the big five, but maybe in terms of the definition of it, one of the ones to be reckoned with the most under hunting conditions would be leopard. So leopard, lion, the two cats, buffalo, rhino, and elephant. And that term then spilled over into tourism when tourism started developing, and when ecotourism and photographic safari started developing in the very early days of sort of mid-1900s, for the sort of, I almost want to say for the lucky few. You know, Hemingway, for instance, was a big fan of going on safari, and all those early explorers. And then later on here into the 70s, mainly in the 80s and 90s, when ecotourism really started taking off, Sabi Sands playing quite a key role in that actually. And that term went through to it. So it's now a ecotourism term. And I'm going to wait for a couple of answers first to see if anyone came up with what I was trying to play towards about the big five and which species specifically is part of that. I'll give you my feedback on that. The reason I asked that we're going to stop at these impala for a minute or two is that there could be more than 5 species that fall under the definition of modern day ecotourism or modern day photographic safari big five. And if that's still a bit Confucius, do you think, for those of you that follow game drives a lot, that there are maybe more than 5 species of animals that are classified as big five? Let us know, and I'll give you my take on it just now. Oh, look at that beautiful, lovely herd of impala. I'm just going to stop in the shade here because the sun is getting hot, and we're going to spend a couple of minutes before we head up to Buffelshoek Dam. Such pretty antelope. You know, we see a lot of impala, but they are truly one of the sorry, another explanation just jumped into my head. They are also, you know, you could say the staple of the bush for a lot of predators, but I was going to say one of the true characters in the bush. And I've got so many great memories, if I think back to the bush, that were related to impala during the lambing season, when those lambs are running around and strutting their stuff, literally. Rutting season, when the males are competing. The alarm calls early morning when the sun is rising through the mist, and you can hear that when the impalas are calling when they see a leopard or a lion. I do love impala. And we're going to wait for a couple more feedback, but the the same time, I just want to say hello. Claire, it's always nice to have you on Game Drive. We don't talk all that often, but I know that you got that question quite quickly. You've been on many drives with me, so you know my mind. But Claire has hit the nail on the head with my question earlier. Let's just look at these guys a bit more. That's a young male. This is sort of a mixed herd. Mainly females, but there's a couple of young males. They will be pushed out very, very soon. As the rutting season comes along, the big males won't tolerate even young males in the breeding herds, and they'll push these young guys into the bachelor groups. There's a male. He had a good season last year. You can see he probably had a fight to the point where he broke the horn. There you can see he's chasing one of the young males. Exactly that. Reminding them, listen guys, rutting season is coming up. I don't want young males around. There's chasing another one. Let's turn slightly. Just another look or two. This is actually a beautiful sighting. Well, here's the male I mentioned. Just the fact that he's broken that horn during a fight. And I'm guessing last year, you can see it's an old break. He's still dominant. You can see what he's doing at the moment. He's chasing only the young males. He's not messing so much with the females. He's letting those young males know that, listen guys, rutting season is coming up. I'm going to give you grief. Lots of other males are going to give you a bit of pressure as well to leave the herd. And that's how they move off into the bachelor group, so that the big males can compete for possible mating opportunities. There he goes again, straight towards the young males. And he's actually herded them out of this group. That was very fortunate timing. There's the youngster coming around again. He's chasing him. There's the young one. You see the one of the young horns, or the small horns. And there's the rutting call as well. Sort of a guttural, throaty call. It's young impalas. Try and show you, but oh, there we go. A little window. There you can see the shape of the horns, showing that they're young ones. This one would have been born the previous to last lambing season, so about a year and a half old. And you'll see more and more of this over the next weeks, next 6 to 8 weeks rutting season. You're going to see a lot of this behavior. It'll be one of the things you enjoy on Game Drive when going out and about on safari. So I'm not quite sure if you're referring to the sort of the micro area, so the micro environment around here, or the bigger picture of Sabi Sands or Kruger even. But you must find that throughout the year, in other words, it's a bit like, let's compare buffalo and grazing to predators and prey species, and I think you'll get my point just now, is that when it rains in summer and there's lots of water, you get lots of grass, so the grass will actually outgrow the amount of grass that the buffalo can eat. So by midsummer there's much more grass than the buffalo have been eating, but by the end of winter, because the grass stops growing for the winter time, the grass will be quite short, and as you might have seen on drives over the last couple of years, towards the end of winter it can be quite bare, but then the rains come again and the grass picks up again. And you would have to think of it a little bit the same with your predator-prey relationship. Impalas that we just looked at, as I said, they are what you refer to actually as a buffer species. They are, part of the food provision for a lot of the predators. In summertime, when they have their lambs, which we're going to rutting season now, so they mate during the course of a fixed period of time, about 6 to 8 weeks around autumn and early winter, which means they have their offspring around a fixed period of time about 6 months later. So come November, December, there's a lot of impala and kudu and warthog and waterbuck, and all the antelopes tend to have their young around that time. So you have a massive increase in prey species. So it might seem there's a lot more impala now, but they're not going to have babies again until the end of this year. So in that time, the predators are chipping away at them again. So there is a balance between predator and prey, the same as there would be between grazers and grass, or browsers and leaves. Just on the same trend there, talking about predators and prey, I guess, a little bit. Elizabeth, you are wondering, what is the life expectancy of an impala? Well, it depends on where they are. In Sabi Sands, you don't have much time for getting old. As soon as you're getting old and slow, you're going to be, how do you say, on the menu, I guess. Weak animals, sick animals, old animals, injured animals, they become part of the predator-prey relationship in a much more direct way. But 6-8 years, I think would be a good age for impala out here. A little bit older as well. Under conditions where there's no predators, they can probably get a bit older than that. But I think about sort of 8 to 10 years, 6 to 10 years would be a good life expectancy for impala. And then coming back, again talking numbers, we spoke about the big 5 earlier. Okay, great. We've got a couple more answers, and then we're going to get into that, because it's something I always find interesting. It's almost like it gives you maybe a slightly deeper understanding of the term big 5 in terms of its historical meaning and its modern day meaning is what I mean. I'm going to talk to you about that shortly as soon as I get a couple more of those answers through. Awesome. Nice to hear that there's a bit of conversation around this as well. And this is what I really enjoy about the drives. This is one thing to sort of have a question and an answer is fantastic, but discussions are fantastic. Thinking about things and maybe comprehending something that you didn't understand before is always fantastic. And in fact, you guys have just done that for me as well. The question I had, and Claire and Gabby answered on the money for what I was thinking of. And I'm sure over the years I've talked about it a few times. But then we also had other answers which ties into this conversation. So let me start from the beginning. I said earlier that the big 5 term comes from the early hunting days, and those were the 5 most dangerous animals under hunting conditions. That's where it originated from. It then evolved into a tourism, photographic safari, eco safari term. The early terminology referred actually specific to the black rhino, because the black rhino, and trust me, black rhino is one of my favorite animals. You should ask HT about black rhinos. He's got a soft spot for them as well. Black rhinos effectively were the reason why HT ended up in Africa years ago. But black rhino are a very different kettle of fish compared to white rhino. And in the early hunting terminology of Big 5, black rhino was the one that was referred to. My question was, is there maybe more species that form part of the Big 5? And Claire and Gabby, you guys had it in terms of, there's actually 6 species that are included in the Big 5 now. These days, black rhino or white rhino are referred to as Big 5 in the sense of what we're doing, in the sense of seeing wildlife. So you actually have 6 animal species making up the descriptive term of Big 5. So that was what I was thinking of. Then a lot of answers that came through from you guys, Gloria was one, came through and said, well, you actually want to add other species to that list. In other words, you took the question and sort of flipped it over, which I really like, and this is what I love about conversation, is you said you'd like to add, and this is from different people coming through in the chats as well, in the tweets. Giraffe is one that came up quite a lot, zebra came up a little bit, hippo came up, and cheetah came up. And there is actually a term now that is referred to in the tourism industry as the Big 7. which would be the big five: rhino, elephant, lion, leopard, buffalo. And added to that, cheetah, and I've just gone blank. Wild dog. I was going to say giraffe because giraffe also went in, but wild dog. So that's the big seven, which again, if you're technical, you've still got 2 species of rhino in there. So it could be 8 species in the big seven. So guys, great discussion. Enjoyed that. And I'm sure you're going to chat about it amongst yourselves a bit more. So we have this sort of big five term. I think we've talked about it in sort of different ways now, which can be made up technically out of 6 different species. Then the big seven term, which is also one that's being referred to more and more these days. And I'm going to ask you a question again, and it might have even changed. In fact, I'd love to know if there is actually an official thing. In other words, does Wikipedia give you something like that, or is there a specific reference to this? But years ago, and I'm talking about 98, 99, around that, just before 2000, I read an article in a magazine, I think it was Africa Geographic, I could be wrong, where they listed animals most expected, or what people expect to see when they come to Africa. So if you've never been to Africa and you're coming on this dream experience of what we're doing right now, what do people expect? What do they have in their sort of projected sort of mental image of what they're going to see in Africa? And I would like you to guess if you want, or go follow up and give me a specific feedback in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think people hope to see and expect to see most when coming to Africa? As I said, this was the study I'm referring to now, or the reference was for tourism specifically, was about 20 years ago, 99, what's that, 15, 16 years ago. And I'm sure it's still the same, but interesting thing to think about. Another Ellie, we're coming up to Buffelshoek Dam. There's a bull elephant down there, and let's see what else might be around. And we'll get back to that question just now. What do people expect most to see when coming on safari? Other than, of course, a Land Rover. We're talking about animals. Perfect little place for us to sit, a bit of shade. Elephant. Somewhere in the water there was a hippo earlier. I'm sure it's still around. Let's have a little look. Two hippos and oxpeckers, which are going to fly up as soon as the hippo goes under the water again. Guys, we've just arrived at Buffelshoek Dam, pretty much the same as this elephant. This is a different Ellie from what you guys were seeing with Hayden earlier. Just coming down for a drink. So we're going to spend a bit of time with him. I might actually go around to the other side, but let's just watch him drink a little bit. We talked about this earlier. Herman, if your class is still on drive with us, we were talking about the trunk of an elephant, the length of it, the use of it. And it is quite an interesting thing. Well, an elephant as a whole, but also the trunk in itself. Just look at how this elephant is drinking. And people often think the trunk is like a straw, something that it can suck the water up with. The trunk, keep in mind, is literally a nose. It's just very elongated. So it is used for smelling, and they've got excellent sense of smell. But it is also used for picking things up and breaking branches and touching and communicating with each other. You often get elephants smelling each other's temporal glands or touching each other's faces, and the mother may be pushing the calf along using the trunk. So it is in many ways you can compare it to a hand or an arm for us humans. But physically it is just a very long nose. So when the elephant's drinking like this, he's sucking water up into the trunk, Same as you could do with a straw without sucking it all the way into your mouth. Sort of when the water's 2/3 up the straw, you stop and you block it, and then the water stays there. This is what the elephant's doing. He's sucking the water up, and then he's holding it in the trunk, and then putting the trunk in his mouth and blowing the water, pushing the water into his mouth and stomach. So that's how he's drinking, using the trunk. He's not a very old bull. He would have been independent, or left the breeding herds somewhere in the last few years only. I'd estimate him around late teens, early 20s, so 18 to 22, 23 years old, around that. Lisa's just wondering if I've ever seen a hippo elephant fight. Not really a fight, but I have seen, aggressive interaction, if you want to call it that, Lisa, where hippo, it was a specific hippo in Pilanesberg that used to mock charge and even bite elephants. But they don't really fight all that often. I mean, fighting normally, when animals really fight, unless it's something, fighting for his life, like a buffalo fighting back with a lion that's trying to hunt or to kill it. That's one type of fight. But interspecies fights that are not predator-prey relationship, in other words, not one trying to eat the other one for food, it's not often you really get that. It does happen, but generally speaking, animals have evolved separate enough in terms of their food needs, their niches, that they can compete, but they won't really fight. So most fights amongst herbivores, amongst plant eaters, are mostly about dominance. So males fighting with each other over dominance, mating opportunities, territorial boundaries, access to females, or females may be fighting to protect their young, those kind of scenarios. Hippos and elephants to just fight, even though it does occur sometimes, it's not something that's typical. Lazy, happy days for this elephant. Good water to drink, plenty of food around still. Looks like a happy elephant. Thanks for the replies. We've had a few people come back to us saying the animals they'd like to see. And Mary, your answer, very close to the one that I read many, many years ago. And what's interesting is that giraffe and zebra featured there quite quickly. And the study showed many years ago that what people expect or hope to see on safari is what we're looking at right now, that made it in there. What we looked at earlier this morning, lion. In fact, the order that the study showed at the time was lion first, elephant second. Let me just move a little bit because he's going behind us here, and I think he's coming around to drink on this side. So in order, at that stage, the study showed lion, second that people hope to see elephant, like this beautiful guy we're looking at now. And what came in third and fourth, I at the time found very interesting. And that was giraffe third and zebra fourth. And only then did things like rhino and leopard and so on start making it onto the list. This is a sort of a broad spectrum study though, obviously. So it just shows you what people really associate quite strongly with Africa. And certainly an elephant would be one of those, certainly a lion. But I can clearly see why a giraffe would be right at the top of that list. There are such special animals, both, out of interesting point of view, but also just visually. Giraffe are just amazing when you see them. Now this guy walked over here. I'm sure there's a few other reasons, but one of them was literally just to come and have a look at us. What are we doing? What are we up to? because just as we are curious about them, animals are curious about us as well. And maybe over the next many years we will get better and better at understanding each other again, like people did in generations past, and we will get better and better at coexisting and spending time together. I'm going to just turn slightly. We are busy saying goodbye, guys. It's almost the end of the drive. Fantastic to end up with this nice elephant. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for enjoying the safari with us out here in Juma. And I just want to say goodbye from myself, Peter Pretorius, also from HT. Hayden has gone back to get something on the windows. I need to rewind that. Hayden has gone back to get something on Wendy sorted out. So this afternoon we'll have both vehicles out. We're going to look forward to another adventure in the bush. And please join us again for the live safari in Africa. Have a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.